Hey guys, I want to welcome you back to the Hunt Real Outdoors channel. We're out here this morning checking a few trail cameras, seeing what kind of bucks we have here late summer, things that we can hunt for the coming fall. But while we're doing that, checking these cameras, what we want to do is we want to show you today how to gap shoot with traditional archery equipment. I brought my recurve out here. We're going to set up a target, and we're going to show those of you who are traditional enthusiasts and you're trying to get into traditional archery, we want to show you how to set the gap so that you can aim better and be more efficient this coming hunting season as you dive into the traditional archery scene. So let's get right into the video. All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be talking about the gap shooting method of traditional archery. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to talk about today real briefly the two types of ways, or the two major types of ways to aim with traditional archery equipment. The first one is what we would call instinctive, and it takes place through staring down a spot on the target and just staring that spot down and then releasing the arrow toward that spot. And the way you get good at the instinctive shooting is repetition. The more shots you shoot, the better that you'll be at instinctive archery. It's just like throwing a baseball. You don't see people sitting out there aiming with the baseball. They just learn through muscle memory and through repetition how to throw that baseball in a certain spot. And the more they throw it, the more accurate they become. And that's the same scenario with shooting traditional archery equipment instinctively. It's muscle memory, it's repetition, it's staring down a spot and hitting your target. Now, today what we want to kind of go in great detail is the second major way that you aim with traditional archery equipment, and that is gap shooting. And what gap shooting is when you use the tip of your arrow as a sight, per se. When you draw your bow back and you get your anchor point and all of your setup is right, you use that arrow, the tip of that arrow, like a pin. And your tip of your arrow will be below your target. And the gap is the measurement between the tip of your arrow and where you want to hit. And at different distances, your gap will be different. And so today what we want to do is we want to show you how to find the gap. So I've got a target right over here over my right shoulder, and we're going to take a few shots, and we're going to just show you how to set the gap very simply, very briefly, of how to set the gap for your recurve bow. So let's get started. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to aim at that orange dot that's at the bottom of the target, and we're going to see how high our arrow hits above that orange dot. You want to shoot low and aim low because the arrow is going to be above the dot. So let's see what happens. Okay, very consistent on that particular round, but you'll also notice that the previous round that I shot, those arrows hit within an inch of that arrow that was on the right. And so what that tells me is that I am consistently shooting about 14 inches gap at 20 yards. All right, so if a deer comes out on me at 20 yards, I'm going to have to estimate in my mind about where 14 inches is below that deer's vitals, which is probably going to be somewhere around the knuckle of that leg. And so if I put my arrow tip right above the knuckle of that leg and let the arrow go, it's going to hit him right in the vitals. And so that's how you determine your gap. And the further you go back, the smaller your gap will get. I would suspect that this bow is probably point on at 30 yards, meaning at 30 yards, I can put the tip of my arrow exactly where I want to hit, and when I let go, it's going to hit that exact spot. Probably at 25 yards, it's going to be somewhere around 10 inches. And so the further you go back, the less your gap is going to be. And of course, once you get past what's called point on, then you'll be aiming up above where you want to hit and letting the arrow drop down in there. And so that's just a great way for you to figure out how to gap shoot your bow and what your gap actually is. And I would certainly encourage you, once you get it figured out, I don't have it on this bow yet, but once you get it figured out, that you would write it down somewhere right here. Got sweat falling down my face. Write it down somewhere right here. So that you can remember it in crunch time when you're in the woods and a deer's coming out in front of you. So I hope and pray that this helps you figure out, for those of you who are traditional archery enthusiasts and you're trying to get started, that this will help you figure out how to aim your bow so that you can get you a kill this coming up year with your traditional archery equipment. I do want to always say this. Thank you so much for watching the videos. It means a lot to us, and I pray that you would subscribe and you would click the notification button so that when we give some more videos like this, that you'll be able to stay in the loop and be able to watch those, and hopefully it'll help you have a better and more successful deer hunt in the coming days. And so anyway, we're going to go pull these arrows and we're going to shoot a little bit more while we're out here. It's hot, we're sweating, but it's fun. So here we go.